You are tuned into Plática de Práctica in the classroom. On these episodes, we travel across Albuquerque to visit teachers in the creative spaces that they find themselves in. They will continue to share their tips and tricks, triumphs and struggles as they navigate the contemporary creative classroom. Thank you for listening.
We are on location again for another In the Classroom episode of Plática de Práctica, and I will let our guest introduce himself and let us know what you teach and maybe how long you've been teaching.
My name is Nikolai Rasinski. I teach film and screen at Kahn School of Integrated Arts. I teach kindergarten through 8th grade. I am, for elementary school, a specials class like music and art where they see me once a week for about 50 to 55 minutes. And then I teach 2 middle school electives, and they see me every single day for about 50 or 55 minutes.
And so the elementary school kiddos, I'm curious, like what do they do like in their class?
So mostly it's all about acting games.
Okay.
They interpret it as games, but for me it's more of like skill building through acting. Each grade level has its own, like I call it the film and screen playbook, where each grade level has certain skills and tasks that they need to do and are grade level appropriate. So like kindergartners, like I mentioned, they play lots of games because that's kind of what they can do. They deal with a little bit of equipment and a little bit of like other things. But as they go older, then they start getting more and more equipment, and I teach them how to use it and how to use it respectfully. And then they have the chance to kind of just explore the space here too.
Yeah. And then middle school, what would that look like in a nutshell? I
condensed my elementary curriculum all the way down into a semester, so they get everything all at once.
Okay.
And then at the end of the semester, they complete a short film. So they do like location scouts, and they talk to actors, and they get the equipment they need. And then by the end of the semester, they have filmed and edited a short film.
Great. So are they in the process of that currently, now that it's spring semester? Are they
So we're starting the skill building now, but at the end, like in May or so, we'll start doing short films. I had a class last semester that they finished all their short films in December. So I ended up with a few short films.
Yeah, so that's great. I think it's exciting too, being that you're at a K-8, right? So there's potential that you have a student, maybe even, I mean, what is that? That's like 8 years straight, potentially.
Yeah, like, and that's our goal, right?
Yeah.
We had a decent amount, because I was here last year. We had a decent amount of 5th graders turned into 6th graders. So I had a couple of them this year, and we already made the connections right away, and they're ready to go and ready to do all the awesome film stuff that I have. That's
great. That's exciting. And then, I mean, especially from K-8, I think there's so much growth, even just physically. Like, they probably stretch out, like, and yeah, they don't even look like the same kid by the time they're in 8th grade. Cool. Well, it was funny because we were talking before the podcast. I want to talk about your gum roll just real quick because before we started recording, I had gum in my mouth, so I had to go spit it out in the trash can. And then Nikolai was mentioning a little bit about his gum roll in the classroom.
See, so this is my 4th year teaching. I've done 2 years in the classroom and then 2 years here at Kahn teaching film. So when I was a classroom teacher, my rule was if I see it, then it goes in the trash. If you chew it and you keep your mouth closed and I don't know about it, cool. Yeah. But now that we're in the film lab, there's all kinds of equipment and it could get stuck on things. So I have a no gum rule now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I take for granted that I think as a visual arts teacher, typically we don't have carpet in the room. Right. So you have carpet in your classroom and it's beautiful. We're upstairs right now at Kahn. So if you're driving by his new digs, because he used to be downstairs last year.
Right.
Yeah, but it's great, and there's carpet, and that's a nightmare if you get gum and carpet. That would drive me absolutely crazy. So yeah, and I want to talk a little bit, because this is an audio only episode, but your space is always, it feels well designed, and your seating arrangement right now, they're these really cool like little mini sofas.
Right.
And I don't know, I'm curious about how you choose like your layout of the classroom, or like furniture, or like what inspired you to like think about even something like furniture?
So in my last classroom, these couches were just in the room. And my principal said, if you want to keep them, then they're yours. And I had a little bit of time to mull it over, and I was like, you know, I think it would be an interesting thing to have kids sit on that. And that was kind of the only chair that they had last year. But now that I'm up here, I have I have big tables and I have rolling chairs too. So kids not only can hang out on the couches, but they can spread out a little bit too.
Yeah.
Or like I have some pillows and I'm working to get some more, but I know kids love to immediately when they walk in grab those pillows. And I have to try and create some systems of, hey, make sure you ask, or because you're not going to run over someone to get a pillow.
Yeah.
I don't really allow that.
Is it the pillows over there on that
Yes.
side?
Mhm.
Okay.
And there's also, when we work with equipment, there's a lot of standing up too.
Yeah.
So sometimes we will be sitting, but then sometimes we will be standing and moving and working with equipment.
Yeah. Cool. I feel like a beanbag could be a good or bad thing in this space.
I know.
Just because you do have such like kid-friendly, I think, arrangements of seating, but I could see if a pillow is getting a lot of attention, I would assume like beanbags are going to be a hot kind of item as well.
Right.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a great space. I mean, the school is beautiful. I mean, it's one of the newer schools here in the district, and it's always nice to just walk down the halls and see the building. And me being a former visual art teacher, like in the classroom, I love the display cases that are down in the hallway. And yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm just like right now, like I know people can't see me, but I'm just like eyeing everything in your room because there's a lot of vocab up on the wall right now.
One of the things I wanted to make sure of when I first started is you'll see that there's lots of movie posters around, because when you're in this class, you want to be transported and you want to be in that mindset and headspace of being in the film lab. So that's why there's lots of film posters everywhere and film related things.
Yeah, I see Labyrinth, West Side Story, Goonies, Toy Story.
Most of those I got on my own, but I did have a teacher actually donate a couple posters too. So
that's great. It takes me back to my high school years where I worked at Blockbuster Video, and the posters there, I mean, they were a hot commodity. People would come by and they were always bugging, and we would have to tell them that we don't give them away, but when we'd replace them or exchange them or whatever, they would kind of go in the back storage, and if we were lucky on that day, sometimes we could take them. I don't think I ever got one, but I'm like,
if there was one poster you could have had back at Blockbuster, what would it be?
this is the first thing that comes to mind, and people are probably gonna be like, oh my goodness, but Elf. So with Will Ferrell, that came out when I was working there as a supervisor, and I would put it on repeat for like 6 hours straight. It would be playing like for my shift, and so all the TVs were just playing Elf during like the holiday season. And even still, like to this day, I'm like trying to convince my wife and daughter to watch Elf with me during Christmas time and whatnot. So yeah, but I mean I'm trying to think of other movies that were kind of big that came out. I mean, I was working there like 2002 to like 2005-ish. So in those 3 years, whatever, I can't even think of a movie that I'm just like, yeah, that's a really good movie. Yeah, I'm getting older. It's almost my birthday, so March will be my birthday. So
Happy early birthday!
Thanks. Cool. Well, let's get back to you. What poster can people donate to your classroom? What would you want to see on your wall?
Well, unfortunately, I have some posters that are left at my house that are not school appropriate. But any kind of posters that you think students would like, I will gladly take.
Yeah. What would you say would be one for that students would like currently?
I don't know. That's hard. I get a lot of kids that I asked my classes recently as my opener of what was the last movie you saw in the theaters, and a lot of kids said the Minecraft movie, of course.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure that one would be a popular one.
I almost bought. Well, I didn't almost buy it, but my daughter. We were at the Coronado Mall, and she saw a K-pop Demon Hunter poster.
That one's popular too.
So she was like, "Daddy, can we get it?" And so we go in the store and we're looking through the posters, and come to find out they only had the one on display and then one more for sale. And I told her, if you want to go halfers, we'll split it. Like she's got money, you can use it. So she asked the gentleman how much it was, and he was like $30. And then she looks at me and she's like, "Well, I can pay $5 and you can pay the rest." And I was like, that's not an even split, so we'll have to pass. But yeah, I'm thinking of that one that we saw recently. So cool. All right. Now, being that it is film, have you gotten any bites from like any like studios or anything like being interested, or do you like, what are your thoughts about bringing in like community partners and stuff, especially with like Netflix and all the other kind of studios here in town that are coming in and filming here?
Well, my program is in its infancy, so I'm still trying to build some of those relationships. I have a couple, since we are a arts integration and we're a creative campus, I have had a couple of teaching artists come in too, because one of my things that I teach and talk about is hair and makeup. But I don't know much about hair and makeup, so I have a teaching artist come, and she's wonderful. She worked with my middle schoolers a couple of times before, and she has already makes like lots of connections with students that sometimes I would even miss too.
Can you name drop? Who is that? I'm curious. Or can we talk off the record?
Her name is Rihanna Washington. Yes.
I was curious if I knew this person, because I know of another person that does some stuff with like makeup.
She does a little bit of everything. She does like weddings, hair and makeup for weddings.
Okay.
She kind of does things on her own, and then when we were talking, she offered, and we connected through that. So
cool. She's
coming a couple times, and I already have her scheduled for
nice
April.
Great, that's cool. I used to do at the high school level on Halloween. Students knew if Halloween landed on a school day, that I would bring liquid latex and like fake blood and Q-tips and all the little like cream makeup, and they would get to create just like scars and wounds and stuff. So then we'd photograph it and get like good lighting on it and whatnot, and then we would just do like a fun one day kind of assignment project. But that was fun. I had fun, and there were a couple students that would even come back like throughout the week if they still saw that there was like liquid latex or whatever. They'd come in at lunch and they would want to like show their friends what they did or whatever. So it was kind of fun. Yeah, I would assume middle schoolers would like eat that up. They would totally like go crazy.
They don't want to admit that they like what I'm teaching on the surface. But I know when I have a middle schooler that's really interested in what I'm doing. So,
and it's interesting because I think that's what's the benefit of having community partners and relationships with people in the community.
Right.
Is as a teacher, we kind of fall in that parent role, I think. And when we have community partners come in and like talk about their work or the things that we're learning in class, it's like the cool uncle or cool auntie coming in and reinforcing like some of the things that we're trying to teach. And then it's like, thank you. Yes. And kids have like this revelation and they're like, oh my God, Rihanna or whatever. So-and-so said that this or that. And you're like, yeah, I know. I've been saying that the last couple of weeks. Yes. So it helps. And I think, right, it takes a village to raise kids and bring them up in the community. And it's always helpful having like people that are willing to donate their time and come in and just talk to kids and show them stuff and kind of in line with what we're learning about. So, yeah. Cool. Well, we are going to jump into the pop quiz portion of the show. And there's a little added question that I'm going to be throwing in there, but hopefully it doesn't throw you off.
Okay.
But we will start with question number 1. Where do you find inspiration, motivation, or the drive to be an educator?
So I'll answer in 2 parts. The first one is both of my parents are educators, so I was in a household growing up of people who taught us what it's like to be kind and what it's like to be with young minds. My mom worked as a music teacher, and then my dad worked in special ed, so I got a whole spectrum of ideas and philosophies there. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to become an educator, and it's still the drive. But also, it's for the students. It always is for the students, especially here that I get to not only teach something that I'm really interested in, which is in film, but it's also getting to teach that to all these awesome young minds here at Janet Kahn.
That makes me think of something that I just recently experienced. So, you know Shelley from the VAPA department, and we eat lunch. We tend to eat lunch. The research teachers eat lunch together, the majority of us, if we're not at a school or whatever. And she actually gave us a prompt just about an hour ago, and she was saying, you know, like what's something that we're grateful for about the job. And a lot of us brought that up, working with the young people and Matthew, who you might also know. Yes. brought up that it's so rewarding, right? Like there's so many jobs that we can work and say we're making money, sure, and getting by and living, but we're making money for like a bigger organization or a business or a person, whatever, right? And in education, we're giving back directly to young people,
Right.
in hopes that what we give them allows them to kind of pave a smoother path down their way in life or whatever the case. So that made me think of that just because it was so recent that I had that conversation. So that's great. All right, question number 2. What is a tip or trick you can share with other teachers when working with English language learners?
Visuals. I am a huge visuals person.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was a visuals person, and even now I try my best to represent things through visuals and not necessarily through text. So especially because I actually had a conversation with someone recently about, they asked, well, are you performing art? Are you a visual art? And I say film is a bit of both, that it's both a visual art and it is a performing art too.
Interesting,
So
yeah.
I have some of those like connections with that as well. So
Yeah. It was interesting because we were talking a little bit about the halftime show of
Yes.
obviously Super Bowl halftime recently. And yeah, the hardship, like for those of us that may have felt uncomfortable or whatever, that it was in Spanish, but that's the reality for our students as well.
Right.
If they come into a space that, their first language is not English or whatever the case may be, I think it was a good kind of humbling moment where it's like, oh yeah, there are people, and especially in education in schools, where students deal with that frustration or that just that anxiety even. So yeah, I think visuals is a really big one. And I think going back to like your vocab, like even just using vocabulary that relates to the content, like I think is really helpful. Cool. Question number 3. What is a tip or trick you can share with other teachers when working with students that have an individualized education plan?
I guess what I would say is I always like to look at teachers here are pretty good at it, that they give me the accommodations worksheet on seeing what each student's accommodations are.
Yeah.
One thing that I picked it up as a teacher when I was a 2nd and 4th grade teacher, is I found it really interesting when I read it, and I was like, why is that not something that everyone does? But it's when you are talking to a student, you address them by their name, right? Because that was an accommodation I saw a student had, and it was like, make sure you say their name. And I'm like, I feel like that most teachers should do that anyways, because you're building relationships anyways. You see them in the halls, you say, hey, so-and-so, especially like when you're giving directions too. It's both the social aspect and the, hey, we're doing this right now. So that's, for me, that's just always like, it's always been a given, but I was reinforced that by seeing that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it can be small things, I think, that make a huge difference. These 20% like decisions and choices that we make as educators that impact the other 80%.
Right.
So that's great. Here's my next question. What is a behavioral management issue you have faced, and how can you solve it, or how did you approach it?
I think something that I've been doing a lot more this year is not necessarily like the planned ignoring. Like you don't ignore behaviors that are like destructive to like other kids or themselves, right? But like kind of tuning that out a little bit, because a lot of students, especially the younger ones, will, if I'm talking to somebody, will tug me or tap me or call my name. And it's been really hard for me to kind of like just internalize that, but then just keep that discussion going with that other student. And then when I'm finished, then look at them and say, hey, what do you need, right? Because we want to teach our students to do that as adults too.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily do that as adults. I would hope so, but you don't walk up to someone and just say, hey.
Yeah.
But we just want to teach them a little bit of patience.
I think that's interesting, yeah, because you're in a position where developmentally it's so diverse and there's such a range between kinder through 8th grade.
Right.
So yeah, you see a whole plethora of challenges, or that's insane to think about. All right, question number 4. What has been a highlight project or activity that you're most proud of?
I think everything we do in here is everything I'm proud of, because a lot of what I do, it is, like I mentioned before, sometimes it is me teaching skills and teaching how to use equipment. But then once you do that, then it's watching children explore with all that, and then they come to you and say, hey, can you take a look at this please? And it's awesome to see some of that too. A project I recently started is with my middle schoolers, because they come in campus to get breakfast and then they go to class. I have seen this both with my sports team, and then I've seen it at a school before, that they just have a microphone in the hall with a question. And people, if they want to, can just walk by and answer it. So I started that in January, and I've been continuing it this week. And I think, again, we like to talk about student voice here too, is students come up to the mic and say what they're feeling, and then we share it, and everyone gets to see that and be a part of that too.
And that's recorded then? That'd be interesting to see at some point.
Yeah, the question we did this week, because it's International Film Week, it's the second Saturday in February, is just to give us a movie recommendation. So like, I had a student, they said, I have him in my classes, he said Wayne's World, because he loves that movie, and then he went the Wayne's World, party time, excellent.
That's funny.
But I thought that was great.
That's great. Question number 5. Who has been a student that has made you a better educator?
I mean, there's lots of them. It's just, like sometimes we mentioned before, is some of those, I like to reflect a lot. After each class, I think it's just kind of in my blood, like my parents are both educators and it kind of trickled down, is after each class you're internalizing and saying, hey, what could I have done better with this? Or, you know what, I didn't really talk to that kid in the most respectful way. I need to go make amends. And then when they come in my class next time, it's we're trying something different and seeing if that works out too, is we're always reflecting and thinking about our practice.
Yeah. Alrighty, the last question for the pop quiz. What advice would you give your younger teacher self?
Patience. I'm a pretty patient person, I'd like to say, but I think my younger teacher self wanted more things to happen quickly, and good things take time. And that's part of the reason why I'm here doing this, is because I've practiced a lot of patience. So,
yeah, great advice. Yeah. All right. You passed the pop quiz.
I didn't know this was graded.
It'll be participation points. So, I don't know. Do you want to share anything else? What else can you tell us? What's going on here at Janet Kahn that people should know about, or in your program, or in life?
I mentioned earlier, I did this with my elementary kids in that class, but I started like a movie spirit week. So I just did it with my 2nd and 4th grade classes, but now that I'm here at Janet Kahn, I have done it for the whole school. So Wednesday, we're recording on a Tuesday. So tomorrow, Wednesday, would be share a movie snack with somebody. So people will bring in snacks that they like from the movies. I'm going to share some popcorn with my students.
Cool.
Thursday is to either dress up like a movie character or bring in a movie character t-shirt or a movie t-shirt. And then Friday, this is the one I love the most, and it's the most popular, is dress your best to walk the red carpet. So I'm going to roll out a red carpet and this awesome gold and silver star background, and then students will get to dance and dress their best, and then I get to take their pictures of them being fancy. Then once I'm done with the pictures, then we'll send them back to families.
That's awesome.
So
that's great. I love that. And see, like, a lot of what's happening here at Janet Kahn, there's like one word that I'm thinking, and it's fun.
Right.
Like, if you have fun with students, it just makes it so much easier. And that's not to, like you say, like, just completely like deflect like some of the behavior, whatever. Like, obviously those things are going to come up, but also, like, as humans, like, if it's not fun and creative, I mean, I don't know, I'm more inclined to do something if it's both of those, both fun and creative. So that's great that kids get to experience that here. And yeah, I think you offer a lot of that, like, creativity, and obviously, like, sparking that whole spirit week with, like, a film and movies. And yeah, and actually this summer I live nearby here, so like this summer I remember they had a film on the field outside. There was, like, I don't know if it was the city or the county, but we somehow got word of it, and it was amazing. Like, the whole field was just packed with people and I forget what movie it was. Wild Robot,
Okay.
and it was on this like project, like this truck that like had a screen that like kind of came out of it, and yeah, it was just the most like amazing like community event here at Janet Kahn. And yeah, I don't know if you heard about it or you were there, or because there were just so many people. But
It was for one night only.
Yeah.
And I ended up unfortunately being busy that night, but I did hear about that too, because we used to do that growing up too, because they used to give us a menu. Each week or so, they would have one movie each night. So when we would always choose the one that we wanted, and we would go and watch that in the park.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. All right. Well, I appreciate you letting me kind of crash your spot here, your classroom. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much. And it's always exciting hearing about the things that you're doing with kids and all the stuff happening here at Janet Kahn. So yeah, any final thoughts, farewells, shout out? How about a shout out to a teacher, maybe? One of your most memorable teachers. You mentioned your parents.
Right.
And of course, they're amazing. But I don't know if there's another educator out there that you want to give a quick shout out to.
There is a lot, because there's some, because as a teacher, you experience it as a learner when you're growing up, and there's lots of teachers that influence you then, but then once you go to teacher school, then there's lots of teachers there too. But I think one of my favorite teachers was, of course, my film teacher, because he was the one that kind of pushed us to get a lot of experiences and go out into the community and do things like that. We got some really awesome mentoring with him and what he was able to bring to us. And yeah, his name in the program was Mr. O'Dowd, but we called him Charlie. We never called him Mr. O'Dowd. He was just Charlie to us.
Yeah. What school was that at?
So I did this unique thing growing up. When I was a junior in high school, I moved from my home school to college and career high school, which is you essentially take your high school classes in the morning of the day. It's at C&M's campus. So you take your high school classes in the morning, and then your afternoon was filled with your college classes. So I graduated with my high school diploma, and on the same day I graduated with my film degree.
That's awesome.
So that's where I get my film stuff. So
Great. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We look forward to hearing more about the cool stuff you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you for coming by.
Yeah.